Okay. Vale. Bueno.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure for us in the second or third day of official trade fair to have so many people here in international meeting. This is the 8th edition, and we're doing this with the support of Acción Cultural, and in these last editions also with the support of FETEN. So I'd like to thank these two organizations for supporting us with this festival, and we are the framework for us to be here. So, as I've said, this is the 8th edition. I'll introduce this meeting, but what's interesting is for you to listen to each of our guests, as they have very diverse projects in different geographies. And I think this is the main purpose of this meeting, to learn about other realities and to get feedback, to get inspired. And I think this is essential in life, to share and to grow together. And this is what this meeting is all about, and you will be a very important part of it, because we have some quick presentations first, and then after the coffee break, which is very interesting, after this time for meeting and networking and sharing during the coffee break, we have this second part where we invite you to take the central role. It is also important for us and for our guests to learn about what's going on in your minds, which are your projects, so that we can build a dialogue all together. And now we'll start with the first presenter, Diana Calabrese, from the Festival Internacional de la Palabra en Escena from Argentina. Well, thanks a lot. Do you hear me? Do you hear me here? Well, I'd like to thank this invitation to FETEN. It is a great honor for me to take part in this international fair and to present our Festival Internacional de la Palabra en Escena that we have in Argentina. We got this invitation a very good moment, because we are in very dire times in Argentina. As Roberto Cosa says, theater is always politics. But I think it is a great opportunity to bring together our countries, to build networks, share networks, shows, workshops, recognition, and generate these exchange meetings, which are essential and that should accompany cultural politics. I'm actress and director of Revenil Theater Group, which started 27 years ago. I'm not a founder member. I'm a producer and manager of Festival Internacional de la Palabra en Escena, and I also manage other international events. I'm a drama researcher at the St. Louis University. I'm the general publisher of the only magazine produced by women. I also a theater manager by the University of Cucho, and I'm preparing a PhD in history and theory of arts at the University of Buenos Aires. Now I'll focus on this Festival Internacional de la Palabra en Escena. I think it's important to focus on the territory. Where is this festival? Because festival has 2.78 million square kilometers. I'm showing you some images to accompany what I say. The event is in the region of Nuevo Cucho, which is made up by 4 communities in the pre-Andean region, in a very unique environment. This festival is in the community of San Luis and takes place in June at the University of San Luis in the Auditorio Mauricio López Microcine Hall, and also in other towns like Villa Mercedes, Trapiche, La Punta, Guayaquil. The organizing company, we're clear that we need audience. So the education or getting audience has been one of our concerns, as we were seeing that we were missing some viewers to our shows, especially shows for the whole family, as adults would not go to these spaces to share. So in 2015, the Festival Internacional de la Palabra en Escena started. That was brought about by the choricero, which is a wind that we have in that region. Sorry, some technical problems, but we can continue. This is one of the videos of the event. We know that developing audience is a process, like the Peace Nobel Prize Andrei Sakharov said. Someone that has not seen an orange cannot peel an orange. What we have to do is to show the orange. And the same goes with the theater in this event. How do we plan to develop this festival? We want to make culture more democratic, so it's accessible for everyone, with affordable tickets, and taking it to different quarters on the suburban areas. This event focuses on the young and the children with 2 different formats. School goes to theater, and the theater goes to schools or to high schools. I like to stop in the first format. School goes to theater. We do it in the theater of San Luis, where we take students to theater, and sometimes this is the first time they go to a university or they go to theater, and maybe it's the first experience with the stage arts. And I think this is very emotional to see every year that all these children and youngsters, they love these shows, they clap, they laugh, they make questions, and they take pictures with the actors. And we have to say that many students are coming from different towns, for example, from Quines, which is 150 kilometers away from the theater. So that the schools are waiting for July to organize this trip to the university with their students, integrating this event in their yearly educational program. Each edition, we realized that many teachers that bring their students, or the schools that come to the shows, they are not teaching drama, theater, body language, etc. And this is why, from the organization, we started to organize a specific program from each show to use it in schools, so that it can become an educational tool. The second format, which is the shows, go to the theaters, go to the schools, and this we take sound, lights, stage equipment, everything that we need to stage a play in non-conventional places. This organization is not easy, as we have to meet several deadlines. From the organizations, we chose shows from 3 to 5 years, to 6 to 11, from 11 to 17. Yesterday I was asked where we were looking for just text shows, and no, the idea is to offer a range of different aesthetics and politics year after year. Another activity that we carry out in the hall of the International University of San Luis is the visual arts shows under the title La Palabra, with young artists from 20 to 30. There are performances, shows, mounting of shows, workshops, and we grant a certificate from the university. And there is also at nights performance and shows for adults in several theaters and different venues. I would also like to say that the Festival Internacional de la Palabra en Escena is the only international entity in stage arts in the region that has reached 9 editions, and in June we'll have our 10th edition. This is why it's considered of national interest due to its cultural and educational value, legal and cultural interest, based on the double purpose of developing show theater in San Luis, and also the realization of individuals through stage arts, creating creative individuals. That means that the politicians saw that this event is important. Also a legal interest for the main city, and also with the protocol of the university and the university agencies. During these 9 years, we had many deans and presidents of the university that can understand the importance of stage arts. For us, this is a great opportunity to keep on developing this event that we love. We presented this magazine, which is the only magazine which is published by women, and it's free of charge. And we have contributions by researchers, teachers, stage companies, festivals. So if you are interested, you can email us, because we'd like to have some exchange with Producciones Revenir, so that we can tell you the conditions for a collaboration. Also, it is important the great impact of social networks in our lives, and how social practices are mediated by new technologies and the new ways of relating to others, to having some reach in these networks. For example, in Instagram, we have over 15,000 followers, but our reach is 350,000 Instagram accounts that see us. So we have over 2 million reels, and I think it's also an important way to show the importance of stage art. As we love theater, we believe in sharing. That the companies that visit us have a great time. They can visit different towns, they can see different landscapes, they can eat and drink a good wine of the region, so that we have time for speaking, for sharing, for exchanging, for growing all together. And we also work in network with other festivals in Argentina, and the idea is that the international companies can tour. It will be a great honor for us that Spain takes place in the following editions of our festival. So again, I'd like to thank you for the presentations, to Idoia, Natalia, Candela, Gonzalo, and congratulations for the success of FETEN. Thanks a lot.
Muchísimas gracias, Diana.
Thanks a lot, Diana. And we continue with Argentina. We'll have now Mario Morettini, and with the Festival Internacional de Patagonia, Patagonia International Festival. So thanks a lot because you've kept to the schedule. It's been perfect. So thanks, Mario. I give you the floor so that you can take us to your place. Well, first I'd like to thank this beautiful invitation to meet in this international trade fair of FETEN. This opportunity for exchanging knowledge we think is essential for the development of stage arts. I'm an actor and manager of the Infinito Theater Group, where we make workshops and activities for the whole family and for the children. I'm the chairman of the educational committee of El Infinito and general manager and producer of the La Patagonia Teatro, general publisher of the Artes Impresas magazine, Se Abre el Telón, and also during different theater events in Argentina. Then I'll tell you about the Theater of El Infinito, which is the origin, which is the seed of these festivals. Teatro del Infinito started out as a touring company by the end of the 1990s. During 10 years, on buses, ships, etc., we traveled over 300 towns in Latin America. In 2005, we were based in Puerto Madre in Patagonia, Argentina. After some years, we started to think of a stage arts festival. What's a festival? What should be our purposes and aims? And we all agreed that it should be a party, an artistic party, starting point for companies to get in touch with audiences and with other companies, generating exchange spaces. And this is how it started, based on a simple and specific idea, generating a space for sharing knowledge and thoughts, for analysis based on art, but also with politics and human issues. Festival La Patagonia Teatro started in 2016 with its first edition from a small town in the Atlantic at Golfo Nuevo, where we have whales, and as you can see, we have some people here that have been to this territory, where the routes are deserted, the distances are eternal and beautiful. A small town with many children and young people. In the winter is where we get the best shows. We can see whales, sea lions, etc. And this is why we chose August for our meeting, and especially because this month in Argentina is the month of the children. New towns grow very fast. Sometimes this is not accompanied by cultural policies, and this is where we had our motivations. We saw a region that was growing culturally and economically, but not at the same pace with a cultural policy, so we wanted to work with children. We were clear that educating the audience is key for the development of stage arts. How do we reach audiences? With three formats. We have a school goes to theater. That means that the theater goes to different schools, and we met with the managers of these schools. We presented our artistic proposals, and we received groups of students in theaters. Another way of working is theater goes to a school. So the festival we mounted in the different venues in the schools, the theater, so that remote rural schools, they can experience the festival in the same way as those who are in the cities. So the conditions and the realities of each territory are different. So we see a possibility that there are some groups available. All these formalities are more complicated in our territory. So we made the decision to go to the schools, to the cantinas, where disadvantaged children are being offered a meal, and we took them non-conventional theater proposals. Then we also have open sessions where families go to theaters to see plays. The shows are selected carefully, taking into account their creators. We believe that not all shows are for all age ranges, especially if we work with the schools. This is why the communication and the first-hand knowledge of each creator is important for us, listening to their preferences, the venues, whether there are age ranges for their creations, and other aspects that we can see in this collaboration with actors and creators. It is true that each territory is a unique universe, and therefore going to festivals and trade fairs is very interesting. The Festival Internacional Patagonia al Teatro has grown year on year, and it has been declared of cultural and educational interest in the province, and different venues of the event have declared it also of cultural interest. The audience has become loyal, but we have seen that the same thing happened with the companies and the artists that visit us. We learn how to take more time to meet with them, to share with them, to become friends with them, to be convinced that we could build bridges that were connected in a huge network, which was also one of our goals. At that time, we thought in Patagonia we'll create a microclimate where theater is a place you have to go, but where each artist that come to visit us can enjoy our cooking, our wines. We're discovering nature is also another show, and we wanted to customize this for each of our visitors, and this is why the festival and its privacy is unique. And it started with 7 days, and now it's 17 days, and takes place in 4 towns of the Patagonia: Puerto Madre, Central Trelew, Gaiman, and Puerto Piramides. Well, this hard work, intense work, and I think Idoia knows about this, and this is what this meeting is about giving, receiving, giving hugs, and sharing. We saw that in Puerto Madre was a need for a summer festival with this modality of the hat, where we move around one hat for everyone to give money if they can. This is a festival who's focused on providing access to stage arts to families, where everyone could experience the shows. From 2021, many families from different towns are enjoying this festival. These are street shows in Patagonia. This is possible in January and February over 5 days, and mainly with street shows for the whole family. The climate in Patagonia are very good in the summer. It doesn't rain, and we have between 25 and 30 degrees centigrades. So we have the conditions that we need for the street shows. So this is wonderful. Of course, this is drier. It's not as green as here in Asturias, but we can have outdoor activities, which is great. So the festival started to grow and was recognized for cultural interest and touristic interest, and is part of the cultural agenda of Puerto Madre and the province of Chubut. One of the main goals of these events is to promote the development of stage arts as a way for aesthetic expressions and for cultural expressions. This is why we have different formats and aesthetics and activities, seminars, workshops that take place in conventional and non-conventional venues, theaters, schools, cantinas, and bars, because making culture more democratic is one of our aims. The calls for the events start 1 month after the end of the event, and we received between 500 and 600 proposals for each festival. In this time, as we were coming to FETEN, we saw a great opportunity to share with you, to open a joint call with Diana, specifically for groups and companies from Spain. So we hope to make more connections and to be closer to Spain. Teatro del Infinito works with the Fundación Cultural and Educativa of Infinito, carrying out different activities throughout the year. This foundation is aimed at disseminating and addressing cultural and educational needs, focusing on more disadvantaged areas. The community work supports social work connected with the artistic in workshops, seminars, and taking shows where usually we don't have access to rural and peripheral areas. And we're convinced that sharing with people that have different contexts will take us to a fairer society. We are in a very dire reality in Argentina with a very weak economy, with cultural policies that are threatened, and with a new president that is against researchers, artists, etc. So this is why it is important to support our spaces, projects, and festivals. This is a way of resisting a huge attack by the policy or by the leaders, the current leaders of Argentina. These are hard times for our country, and we believe that the connection with international connections are essential. This is why we are here at FETEN. We started to think about this in 2023 when we got the visit from Aurea and Marlí with Sonrisa del Lagarto, the theater company. And sorry, I'm getting emotional when I remember this. So we are here to visit this event, and we have learned about the great work of Marian, Idoia, and all these passionate workers. It is wonderful, the organization, the support of ACITER, of ACE España, and these events should be supported and multiplied because they are wonderful. This is a treasure you have, and for us it is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. This is why we made the decision to tell you that you enjoy stage arts, trade first, and a great time for artists.
Gracias, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. We're also moved. Now we move on to our third guest, who's here representing Imaginate and the Edinburgh International Children's Festival. Okay, let me try and pronounce your name on yours. Are you Oberlein? Oberlein, okay. Odine Oberline works for me as well. So I was right when I asked, because we hadn't checked, actually, her name's pronunciation. So, in a way, we're coming back to Europe. We're coming back to our continent. And I will just give the floor over to Ondine so that she can share her projects. Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. My name is Ondine, and I work for Imaginate in Scotland. And we are the producers of the Edinburgh International Children's Festival. But before I get started with the presentation, let me just say that there are some issues with the format of my PPTs. And that probably you will see that you cannot read the print on the screen, but if you cannot read it, at least you can listen to me. And you will also see that the images are a bit blurred or out of shape. So yes, please use your imagination. That's what we're here for. FETEN is a reason to imagine and open our minds. So, again, I'm Ondine, and I am the manager and administrator. So, there's no picture here, so once again, it is time to use our imagination. Okay, well, here it is. I guess you can get an idea. What's Imaginate? Imaginate is the only organisation in Scotland that is focused on developing, performing, theatre and dance for children in the country. We're also the producers of the Edinburgh International Children's Festival, which it's celebrated every year, late May, early June. And I really hope to see many of your faces over this year. We have performances and shows coming from different countries and wonderful artists visiting us, but we also have some performances with Scottish performers. This picture shows a Scottish company called Starcatchers. They're very famous in Scotland, and they have also been very successful around the globe. And this is a performance they put together. It was wonderful. It is Little Top, that's the name, in 2022. For children from 0 to 3 years of age. This is circus, acrobatics. It is very interactive, and there is lighting and music, which is also wonderful. And this is the first show ever that I took my child to, and she loved it so much. And we also have some other ongoing projects with schools throughout the year. Some of those are based on participation, and some others are projects where we do have a program, and there is a list of shows that go on tour around the country, but mainly visiting schools. And there's also this other program we have, which is the Opportunity Program, which is aimed at Scottish artists, so that they can develop their creative ideas. And so this is our vision. We believe all children, all boys and girls, are entitled to developing their creativity and emotions. And this is something we achieve through giving them access to experiences, performance and dancing experiences of a very high quality. There's also values we share with our teams, and these are generosity, equity, integrity, and grit. Let me now give you a few examples of the type of shows we perform. And these are all from 2023, that is last year. And you will see on this picture, this is a beautiful show, The Chosen. And these are Scottish artists. Originally, this was conceived as something completely different. This was for adults, this play, and it discussed the development of a romantic relationship between two men despite the religious taboos. And artists then adapted the content so it would be focused or aimed at a younger audience. There's no text here. There's much more physical, it's much more conceptual as it is now. And you see acrobatics around the poles, as you can see. It is exciting. It is a thrilling show that I found very moving. It shows so much. It's so much open, and there's love, and there's friendship, and there's complicity. intimacy, or even a complicated blend and mix of all of these. And I think it is an important show. We're never too young to fall in love. That's my idea. So we need to talk about it. This is something that has to be discussed. And it was a very, very successful show. And it took place in the Scottish National Museum. This is another Scottish company, Barrel and Ballet. That's the name. They're very well known in the country. And it discusses climate change throughout a metaphor. And this is Icarus coming too close to the sun and then falls down. Too close to the sun, that's the name it gets. And this is a show, I would say, is harsh, it's touching, it's moving, but it's full of hope. Because the main character is a fighter, and climate change is a topic that has to be discussed. It has to be. Visually, it's very powerful. And just to wrap it up, the festival, let me say that we also have a few performances that are not just topical, they don't discuss any given topic, they're just here because they're beautiful, they make us joyful. And on screen you have a company from Spain, from Catalonia, Los Galindos, that's the company's name, you might be familiar with them. And they brought Odol. Odol is a mind-blowing performance. And this is a bike. And I can even put it into words what we do in my mother tongue. I can't, so I will try in Spanish. But you need to come and see it. There are so many shows and performances that are just visual, have no texts, no lines. And so this year, for next festival, we have two companies coming from Spain. We have Otillera, and let's hope they can make it. And Ergumena Teatre Universo, that's the show's name for babies. And last year we had Animal Religion. Maybe those names ring a bell with you. But we're very interested in Spanish artists, and that's why we're here today. And so happy to be here. And I have talked about the festival, but let me now talk about what we do for the rest of the year. And so there is a program that is opportunities for artists. It is a chance they have to explore new ideas. It's a chance to go to the studio and explore them there. But they can also go to schools. And there are many artists for whom it's important to be able to do stuff and activities, getting the feedback of children. And there are also opportunities where they get to learn from other artists as well. And for that, they have workshops or they have access to funding so that they can go and watch shows, which are even more expensive in the United Kingdom than in Spain. So it takes an effort to help artists and help them go and watch other performers as well. And here on screen, what you can see is a wonderful artist, very, very young, Dan Brown, that's his name. And he was picked, he was shortlisted last year for a program which is Launchpad, which is for emerging artists. And he's 1 year with Imaginate, doing lots of activities, and even a residency, paid, so that he can develop his own idea. And there's also budget to pay some people to work with him. And you can see that. The projection installation, this has been done by another artist designer, as well as the outfit. And what's very important is that by the end of the project, he can get to play and perform it in front of a professional audience, which is actually very valuable. First, because you get the feedback from all those professionals so that you can further develop your ideas, but at the same time, when you want funding afterwards, it helps. Let me give you some context about this picture. Dan Brown developed this idea. This is a work in progress, no homo. So there is a man walking in outer space, very manly, the conqueror type. And then through music and dance, there's a deconstruction of gender-based stereotypes. Very powerful. I was shocked. I was so very much surprised because you see the beginning of the play and the end, and you can even begin to picture it as it starts. You would never have guessed the end of it. But I truly hope that he gets funding so that there more people can get to see his show. But he, Dan Brown, is an unknown emerging artist, and he's a bit more successful now. And here you've got the funny picture. You can use your imagination as it doesn't show very well, but as I said, this is a program we have, opportunities for schools. We have Theatre in School Scotland, which is actually an association with the Scottish National Theatre, and it is a program with a group of performances that are taken on tour around the national schools. They visit public and schools with children with disabilities. And here you can see a company, which is very important when we talk about Scotland. They are Independence, that's their name. And the artists, some of them have several disabilities, and they put together wonderful shows. Last year, they went on tour around the schools in the country. And there's another ongoing project, which is Creative Encounters. And this is a participation-based project where the focus is put into the inclusion of children's rights into the project. So it is some kind of a research for us. That's the way we have to learn how we can include the voices of children even more in our organization, in our processes, in our decision making. Let's say the program design as one example. It is complex, but very interesting. And I guess it will yield very good results. And children are having so much fun, and that's what's most important. Well, that's been all. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I will now give the floor to someone else. And I hope we meet in May. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, Ondín. Pues ahora seguimos. Presentamos a nuestras.
So thank you very much. I want to read the names out loud. Adima Napatalang, and please pronounce it right if I've been wrong.
Correct. Thank you. It's the best news now to me. Okay. Vale, del Big.
Coming from the Big Fest, Bangkok International Children's Theatre Festival. So yours is the floor. I think we're all traveling around the globe from one continent to the next, and it's so beautiful to get this trip. And we're waiting for your words. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Idoia. So, and also thank you, FETEN, for having invited me a festival from Southeast Asia. So I'm sorry that I cannot speak Spanish, but hopefully maybe in another few years I will be able to. Okay, I'm gonna kind of like start it off by just expressing how humble I feel to be sharing the panel with all these esteemed festivals from South America, from Europe. And in Thailand, theater for young audiences is still quite niche, and including in other countries in Southeast Asia. This is why we all have only a small number of festivals and artists working in this field. And that's hugely the motivation to create BIGFest, the Bangkok International Children's Theatre Festival. Our aim is not only to provide, to promote the importance of cultivating children's creativity, we also believe that a theatre festival can highlight the work in this field, which needs to be encouraged and supported in order to continue developing with time, not only in terms of quantity, but also in quality. Alongside, we want to expand and develop new audiences of the future. Founded in 2016, BIGFest is a biannual international festival based in Bangkok. The festival is medium-sized and we present small to mid-scale performances. Our programs are fully curated. We are privately run and independent with a small core team of 3 all-female members, leading up to around 50 workforces during the festival. Through the years, we have developed projects alongside the festival and have commissioned new productions, a few of which are international co-productions. They are our gap year, these we call our gap year programs. Our gap year programs, which takes place alternately from the festival year, are Big on the Move. A mobile project aims to provide more access to wider demographics and geographical audience segmentations in places that are beyond the cityscape and conventional theater spaces. Big Bridge is a creative and cultural exchange project, bringing together Thai and international artists on a mission to collaborate on a new project, which could be either a new production or a process-based activity. These projects are also to do with rethinking about how we can make international work more impactful, relevant to the Thai context, and more sustainable in terms of the outcome. The essence of these 2 projects is all about connecting, collaborating, and exchanging. These are our audiences. Our programs are for everyone. We just look for performances that are suitable for 0 to 13 years old. As our audiences includes the adults, it is very important that the work is engaging for them as well. We haven't officially done a delegate program yet, but we have some international visitors from the TYA industry, the Theatre for Young Audiences industry, especially from Asia Pacific region, and local educators and NGO networks working in social and community development. We might do a delegate program this year. So I just humbly showing our sort of situation. We have created 3 festivals so far, and 1 being online. So we are quite new, in fact, comparing to the other festival. And we organize projects during the gap years. We explained to, as explained to you earlier, these gap year projects have becoming as equally important as the main festival. We are trying to grow our audiences that are more diverse in economic and cultural backgrounds, and we strive to be more inclusive. We also try to reach to those outside of Bangkok, more not only online, but also face-to-face. We have no venues of our own. Our festival activities take place in our partner venues, ranging from a cultural center, a university theater studio, an institution, or a private-run theater. They are all mainly in the center of Bangkok. Our new projects, aside from the festival, take place in the schools or community art spaces where we have networks both in Bangkok and outside of Bangkok. The venues we work with can host between 50 up to 150 audiences per performance. For outdoor performances, we could expect to reach around 250 maximum capacities to be secure. Back to Big Fest, the festival itself. The work that we have programmed represents diversity, inspiring contents, and highly artistic quality. We would like to present works that widen the old perspective about children's theater in Thailand by exposing our audiences and our artists to a variety of art forms and contents. We don't normally work with a theme as such, but we want to create an opportunity for equal creative dialogues between children and the artists. We always include Thai and Southeast Asian works in our international program, and we try our best to create programs which represent a wider spectrum of people in the society. So these are the programs from a range of years, and in fact, it was so lovely to see Fogo Wise on Wellies, because we had them at the festival in 2018. So happy to hear that they've been touring around in Scotland. Alongside the shows, invited artists also run workshops for local kids and families, shared skills with local artists, and exchanged in talks and in topical seminars. We organized the Asian Theatre for Young Audiences meeting the first time in 2018, and we are planning to do the meeting again for the second time this year during the Big Fest 2024. From here, I will speak a little bit about our gap year projects. So this is Big on the Move, which is a mobile theatre project bringing Big Fest scaled down international program on tour to hard-to-reach communities and communities outside of Bangkok. We started to develop the idea of Big on the Move before COVID, but just managed to realize the project for the first time last year. These images are from Big on the Move 2023, taking place last August. We took 2 international works to schools in 3 cities where we have our local NGO networks already working actively in community development. During the period, the networks also organize their own events, so our project could be combined into their program. This is Big Bridge, which is an initiative to create an opportunity for creative development for the local communities and artists through international collaborations and also through artistic exchange. Apart from the artist-to-artist matching, we also plan to match artists to NGO networks, particularly those with shared interests and have been using creative tools to cultivate that works for the community as well. The image, this was a showcase of the 10-day workshop led by a Belgian company called Cabinet Car back in 2018. The workshop was based on their performance called Horses. A group of local kids with no dance background joined a group of local Thai professional dancers to reinterpret the original performance of Horses. Apart from the many levels of learning experiences for everyone, including ourselves, the Big Fest, the organizer, what we liked very much about the project was how children got to experience and understand the making process as artists. and we decided to open the festival in 2018 with the showcase of this process. This is another example of Big Bridge project, which took place during the pandemic. For our online festival in 2021, we challenged a Swiss company called Joshua Monten Dance Company to give an online dance workshop project for NGO networks in 3 different cities with an attempt to create an online dance flash mob. So moving on, we have started to commission new productions as well since the pandemic, in fact. So some of the productions are digitized. A few are international co-productions and international collaborations. The main image is a shot from a site-specific dance on film production, which were inspired by Otherworld, which is the original in-person dance performance by Alfredo Sinola Productions from Germany. As first, we invited Thai artist Kange Mavilai of B-Floor Theatre to collaborate with Alfredo with an intention to create Thai version of this performance for future domestic tourings. But the project was disrupted by the pandemic, so we decided to create a film version instead to go online in Big Fest 2021, the online edition. Last year, we managed to finally create an on-site project ready to tour with a full Thai cast, and it has been performed and adapted in specific sites other than a school classroom. So you can see it in the other 2 images. And this is another international collaboration production that we are working on now, and it's a Thai-French collaboration, a reimagining of Nang Yai, a traditional Thai shadow puppet. The performance will be premiere at Big Fest 2024 as well. Sorry to be kind of talking about the project that we are doing. And the festival, here we are, is going to be in August this year, from the 1st to the 11th of August, and you're all welcome to come to Bangkok. And that's about it, and yeah. Thank you so much for listening.
Muchas gracias.
Well, thanks a lot. Well, you're doing great with the schedule. I think you are making a great effort trying to keep to the schedule, and you're doing it very well. Now we continue with Rui Cervera from Sementes from Portugal. So Rui, I give you the floor. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. And thanks a lot to FETEN for the invitation to be here and to get to know you all. I am from Portugal. My name is Rui Cerveira, and I have a festival for children, for families. This is the name of the festival, Sementes, which in Spanish would be semillas, seeds. This is an international stage arts festival for children. We say arts because we have theater, circus, dancing, dance, anything that's artistic for children. So I apologize if sometimes my Spanish sounds like Portuguese. Why we include a small audience in the title of the festival? Well, this festival is organized by a theater company, which is Teatro Extremo. In Portugal, there are still many festivals that are run by theater companies and not by professional programmers. But we also have this type of festivals, but many of the festivals are organized by companies. So I said small audience because this festival is for children and families, but also for everyone that doesn't have the habit of going to the theater. So this is what we call small audience. Well, our company started in 1994, and when we created it, we thought about creating this festival because in Almada there is another theater company, the Almada Theater Company, which also has a festival for adults. And my colleagues, when we founded this company, some of them were coming for this other company. They had some experience with this, and then we thought we could create the company and a festival. Our company focuses on young audiences and family audiences and children audiences. We produce stage plays. We try to go to different theater areas to grow as artists. And we have the shows, we have the festival, and we have an educational service that take place during the school year with workshops, and then with an exercise for children to present this to their families. And in this educational service, we also have the other part of the theater that goes to the school. We do it in Christmas, and we call it, how you say, smile in Spanish, we call it Christmas smile. I've already presented the company and now the festival. Our festival this is last year's poster. Our posters are always made by someone from the plastic arts. And when I met this girl, the author of this poster, then I met her many years ago, and now she's making our posters, because this is important. We want these posters to convey a message for the audience, or to make the audience think about something that's important. This is about digital garbage. As for the shows, we have shows for children. We are starting now to try a program for young people from 12 years of age, which is not easy to bring this public to this audience, to the theater, but we're trying to do it. Then I won't speak about the companies. I just want to say that the shows take place in theater venues, and as well as non-conventional venues and on the street, as the goal is to reach the audience, to bring audience to stage arts and to arts in general. And also why we well, I forgot what I was about to say, sorry. Oh yeah, we do it in different spaces and also in public spaces, because we want to go where the audience is. the audience that's not coming to the theater, so we go to get them and to show them the shows. We do this also with the aids of the Portuguese state, also local governments of the local government of Almada, and we try to get also partners from other cities to be partners of the festival, so that we can reach more people and at the same time offer the possibility to the companies coming from other countries to tour around Portugal. Because if not, they will say, I won't go just for one show. And this way we can get more, and also we can bring down the costs. So marionettes, here you can see we are on the street in very large real estate we have in Almada. We have a great party there, that's all day long, where families come and they take a picnic there, and they can see the shows, they can take part in the workshops. As in the last day, we always have workshops on the festival, and we have this party. Again, on the street, some shows with the participation of the audience also. So we try to bring a little bit of everything. Here you can see there, this is one of our partners that is not reaching, it's not getting enough audience, and he has asked us that he wanted to stage a show in this shopping center. So we never thought that a show could take place in a shopping center, but we have accomplished this with this Russian company, and there it is. And the audience comes. This is a park, as you can see. The audience, well, this festival, this has 29 years of history, and the audience is coming. Not so much the schools, but we don't care because we like family audience better. And we, as for the schools, we also go to the schools, so if they don't come to the festival, it's not such a problem. We get the families, and this is exactly what we're looking for. After the plays, we have also workshops. We have some talks. Sometimes we have larger format lectures or smaller format talks. It depends also on the people that I have to help me do things. I don't like to work on my own. I like to work with people. When I organize lectures, I try to bring someone which is an expert, an academic, to organize all these talks, not just me. For games, we have many traditional games and other games which are not as traditional. We have a little bit of both, so that children can play as well, because art is about playing. You can see some facilities, some exhibitions. We always have a collaboration. Well, in Portugal, schools, they have clusters. They get together and they have art programs, yearly art programs. And I forgot what I was about to say again. Today I didn't get much sleep, as you can see. Here on top you can see an installation by a company from Slovenia. And it was very interesting with their lights that the audience in each closet could find a different ambience and sometimes smelling experience, sometimes a sound experience, or different experiences. So we try to do things this way, and over these 29 years we've had many posters. These are the ones from the first edition that was on, and the other one is not the second one, it's another one. But these are the posters before getting in touch with these new plastic artists that are helping me now make the posters. This is when we didn't have anyone and we tried to do it ourselves. Well, these here and from this one I think the posters are more carefully designed, and from here we have the same plastic artist making them. The last one has been a poster from where the festival became 20 or 25 years old, and then the characters that you can see is the team of Teatro Extremo. We were disguised, but just to show that we were together after 25 years, and that this festival exists because this team of people exists. The festival takes place in Almada, and we try to add 6 more cities per year to share the program of the festival. These are shows of our festival that go to different initiatives in other cities. And the festival takes place every year, the last 2 weekends of May and the first weekend of June. How is this possible? I cannot go see yours. And this is why this festival, every year most of the programming comes from Portugal, and then we have Spanish companies, and from there the world. This is how it is. But I mean, Spain is so close, we know each other very well, so I like to program Spanish companies because in Spain I feel at home. So thanks a lot for the invitation. Have a great day. Oh, just one more thing, which is important, the future, which cities with people with images. So I could also speak about this, but we'll try to keep on growing, to go to more and more cities, because we want to integrate everyone, all youngsters, all children in theater, because I believe that theater should be seen in a better way, so that this can be replicated around the globe in everyone.
Muchas gracias, Rui. Pues nada.
Thanks a lot, Rui. And now it's time for the coffee break. But I think that so far the presenters have proposed many things that we can share later, that we can discuss later. Now we can go to the coffee break. That should be the right time for networking. But we invite you to come back after the coffee because we'll have some time for debate, and I think it will be very enriching. I've seen some people taking notes. So let's go to the coffee break.
Bueno, pues aquí volvemos. Bienvenida.
Well, we're back again. Thanks for being here. Also, those that are following us online on YouTube. And it's interesting to take this into account so that we can see this on the internet. So thanks for being with us. We have enjoyed this coffee break where we have done some networking, and now we'll have Gonzalo Moreno, Secretary of ACITEG Spain, and we'd like to thank him, Daniel, and the whole association for their support, their energy, and their will to do things and to support FETEN this year and in previous editions. This is what keeps us moving. So thanks. And I'll give the floor to Gonzalo, and then we'll hear some thoughts and reflections that you guys can share in an informal way, and then we'll have a Q&A session. Thanks, Idoia. I have to start by thanking FETEN for the organization of this meeting, all this work of internationalization that they are carrying out, which I think is necessary, and I'd like to thank the festivals that have presented their projects. I think they are great and inspiring projects. And now we'll have some debate among us where we'll have some questions, but the idea is that you can make some comments about several issues that we have detected that we think are very interesting. And then we have a Q&A session, as I'm sure that the audience will have many questions for you guys. I'd like to start by saying that all projects, you have mentioned your work with schools, and I'd like to know how you organize this work with schools, whether this is a sustainable work a long time with different schools, or you have the same schools, or I'd like to know also if this relationship has some structure, whether this relationship with the schools is based on a project, and whether you have the support of culture administrations to support this work with the schools. Now you can take the floor, any of you. Well, from the International Festival of Palabra en Escena, what we do year on year, the event has grown, has evolved, and it started with 4 days, and now is 10 days. And also the schools have joined the project, and what we do is great because the schools that are coming, they tell us, please reserve 200 places for next year. They reserve places for the following year. This is one thing, and the other is that we launch a call or a registering form for schools, because at the beginning, as the event was starting, was calling and asking for a meeting with managers of the school, with teachers presenting the project, explaining what the plays were about. The plays that we choose usually have an educational content, so that teachers can work with them, with their students, before or after the theater session. And also we have a form for schools to register, telling them which teacher is going to come, is going to work with us. And so we have a database so that next year, if we don't get the call from the school, we can call them right away. So we are creating also a very interesting network where schools, they come, and what they expect is that they know that in June we have this event, and they know what it means to bring the kids from schools to have these educational projects presented to the Ministry for Education, etc., to be able to take this to the schools, and then in other cases where we take the show to the school. Well, I'll speak about different aspect. With the schools in Scotland, for us, what's very important is to give an opportunity to many children to see shows, even children that without our project could not go to theater. In Scotland, we have a poverty problem, poverty for children, so 1 child in 5 lives in poverty. In Scotland, this is unacceptable. And we work with the schools. We give priority to schools that are in disadvantaged areas where they don't have access to opportunities or to anything, so that at least once a year they can see something. So the shows of the festival, but also we have this touring program that goes everywhere in Scotland, including the islands. And this is very costful to go to the islands, so they are isolated in these islands. And for us, the work in schools is a political work. Well, in my case, and in the case of Teatro Extremo, we have relationships with, for smaller kids, we have a partnership with, I don't know the word in Spanish. In Portugal, we've got municipalities, but then we have a district administration, which is called the Freguesias. And since these are smaller governments, they are closer to the schools and to the population, and we have a partnership with them, and they are the ones that then speak with schools. They choose the schools that have more needs for our proposals, because in Almada, as I think everywhere around the world, we've got areas with more disadvantaged population and with more problems for accessing culture. And we work with these freguesias, these districts, because they know which schools need our services. But then they go and speak with them, but it's the children themselves that register at the district administration to take part in the workshops. The workshops take place during several months of the school year, and the groups are not all of the same. Are not all the same. There are mixed groups, and when they are mixed from different schools, this works very well this way. And then with older children, we have a project within Teatro Extremo, which is for children that are already for youngsters that are in university, and we have a cycle which is science scene, which is like science on stage, and then we discuss topics that are more interesting for them. We have a collaboration with the university at Almada, which is a science university, and teachers ask us to address a topic, and we do it, or we propose a different topic that we think is better, but we also speak about this. We had several shows on Einstein, on Albert Einstein, on the connection between science and art, and how it has influence in the method and in the process of creation. We have another one about Armstrong, and another one about Marie Curie. These are for an older audience, and for children up to 12, we work this way with district administrations, and then is Christmas, and then we go to all public schools in the municipality of Almada, which has a population that includes 9,000 children and youngsters, and we tour all schools, and then we have to do it for 2 months to reach all schools. Well, in our case, we believe that each school is a world in its own, and in this world, there's a verticality from the managers to teachers, and then we treat each school differently. Some of them, they use a form to register. Some others are in the festival every year, and we know we can count on them no matter what's our proposal. And with the proposal that we have for the city and for the audience, for us it's very important that our festival is not massive, but that we have a customized proposal. If a play is for children between 6 to 9, it's for children between 6 and 9, not for children that are 10 years old or 12 years old. And we discuss this with the company, with each proposal, because these are the ones that know more about their territory and their artistic reality, and we know about our territory. So between these two ideas and areas of knowledge, we reach an agreement to undertake what in which places, whether this is suitable for non-conventional spaces like a school, or just for conventional spaces like a theater venue. And this is a city with a population of 120,000, and the other, then we have another city with 120,000, another one with 20,000, and another one with just 800 inhabitants. So we have a very customized access. In general, schools and managers, they have an open mind and a great enthusiasm for our shows. We have done this over time, and we believe that the work in schools, if it's well done, is an essential pillar to have audience in the future, that we believe it's very important. And also, depending on the school and with the authorization of the theater companies, we add an educational guide. Sometimes this is given to us by the theater companies, or we make it ourselves, and this is for students to work on the play, and also for teachers to discuss several or diverse topics. but we cover small children, then primary school, and then secondary school, which is up to 18 years of age. It's hard here. Here we have several programmers in the house. It's hard to. This is the hardest audience because we don't have as many proposals for young and teenage audience, and this is it's hard for us also, and it's very hard when we get these kind of proposals because this makes our life easier, and we can continue what we had done when they were smaller children, and to keep them coming to the theater. And it's contagious, the thing that children, in addition to going to the theater, they're going to their families, and also teachers that go to the theater, they also take their families. So in this infection of beautiful things related with theater, we are adding audience year on year, and thanks to the small ones, and this is wonderful.
It's quite, well, I'm hearing myself. Thank you. So in Thailand it's slightly different because we don't have the culture of going to theater. And also when we talk about access to the arts for children, I mean, in Thailand, the topic of discussion is still the access to quality education. So we kind of like have already like a basic thing that we have to work on before we even jump into the topic of giving access to quality theater to children. And also in Bang, we are privately run festival, and we have to sell tickets, even though we're trying to keep our ticket prices low as possible. So I can talk about like, so our audience customers is mainly, still, sadly, we still have more like middle class up audiences who can afford to pay the tickets. But the scheme that we try to do is to run a donation scheme called Big Give, which means that people with the children or the parents with money can actually help children who cannot afford to come to the theater to watch the plays. So that's the basic thing that we have been doing. And in terms of like the schools, we have the international school, and they are our customer. We want to work with them, but when we trying to work with them, they want us to take the show to their state-of-the-art theater. Because in international school in Bangkok, they have really great theater, better than the theater that we are working, But then our goal is we want to work somewhere where it's more for public. So we kind of like trying to keep the work where anyone can come and watch the show. And now, so then that's the way that we work with the international schools. So they kind of like help us, passing on the words. But more for the state school, we have to work with our partner, which are like universities in the local area, the educational department who's been working with local schools to kind of like, bringing in children, or actually kind of like giving us the opportunity to share what we do with the schools in the area. Opportunity to share that theater can also be another way for them to learn creatively. Because in Thailand at the moment, it's still more, the focus in the state school is more visual arts when it comes to kind of like, because I was mentioning to someone earlier that theater as we know in this kind of like studio theater is not our culture. Our culture, the traditional theater is more outdoor, it's more for the ritual ceremony, and our culture is more about going to temple fair. And that's when you see the Thai traditional shadow puppets or the dance. So to kind of like get people to understand that actually performing arts has got power to empower children or to get them to learn creatively, that's also another step that we have to work towards. And that's why we kind of started to see, hey, we have networks that has been working with the community, with the schools. How can they be the medium to kind of get our work over to cross over to the schools or the community? So because we don't want to impose, our work, we just want to kind of like make sure that they're interested as well. So that's kind of like, so our work is small, slow in steps, but that's why the project like Big on the Move or Big Bridge is kind of like one of those projects that is sort of the way for us to slowly get the message across and to kind of like get people to see that, yeah, actually it's doing something. So like last year, it was really nice to talk with a local teacher from a province outside of Bangkok. And she was complaining that, yeah, theater is great, isn't it? We don't understand why the how you call it, the central government, it's always visual arts and, it's never any other thing. And then she said, well, this is great and it'd be great to be able to have this kind of thing back. And for us, it's great to bring international works to places outside of Bangkok because like when we went to the north, some of the kids, it's the first time for them to meet people from Europe. So for them, they were like, wow, and the artists were really, really generous, and they were like, yeah, come, So it was interesting for everyone to have that sort of experience. But yeah, it's very small process for us, yeah, to get to schools, yeah.
Well, another question now. You can also ask questions if you want, because probably you also have questions about the other festivals that have been presented here. We're all private festivals that are presenting development work with social work in schools, with social positioning program. Well, do you think that you have cultural policies that are helping you, or the public administrations are supporting you with this development? Do you think you have some support, or do you think there's nothing to do there? Well, let me speak the truth. Well, we have some recognition in Argentina. We have recognition from the Senate, from the Chamber of Deputies, for each of the communities, political and cultural touristic interests. But recognition are very important, especially when you want to bring letters of invitation, also to manage venues, to justify your performance. But it's hard to receive economic support, financial support. This is a reality in Argentina, where we have a poor economic situation, and it is very hard for the governments, not just for the current government, but for most governments. It's very hard for them to understand that they have to support cultural policies from a different angle, and especially cultural policies that address children and the young. And this is essential in a context where we have a reality. In each territory, we assess poverty from a different perspective, but also in addition to poverty, there is abandonment. For example, we were working in different districts. The most disfavored districts, in a population of 120,000, this would represent 40,000 inhabitants, which is a lot. and they were really disadvantaged. And during the pandemic, the adults, they have to go to work because they had to make money. And children were left alone at home. There are some canteens, some district canteens, and school canteens. So children that were used to have lunch at school, they didn't have a place to go for lunch. The parents could not help them because they were at work during school hours, and this led to a complicated situation. And we had to make a great effort. We had not to observe the rules of isolation, because we wanted to organize workshops, marionette workshops, clown workshops, any of these workshops, and then this resulted in an enthusiasm by children for other workshops that they were requesting, and this also included adults, grandmas, and from a first perspective of workshops for children, this ended up being a family thing. And this was not a festival, this was an essential need that was the nutrition of these children and also the emotional contention or support of these children. And the state was not in a situation to help there. So if there are lines to help, yes, we have the National Institute for Theater, which is wonderful. It's an independent agency in Argentina that supports production lines, touring lines, always domestic tours. Then managers, there are magazines, there are projects also, and then you get support with some of the costs and expenses, and from staging, traveling, etc. And we get 300 euros for a production, just to give you an idea. And the government that we have now, the current government, is saying that there's too much expense on culture. So we have an executive manager of this independent agency, which is the National Institute for Theater, and we took this festival with our own savings, the one we had in January with this summer for us. We did it with our own funds because we had a commitment with already with some artists, but we received no financial support. And what the current government has done, they have fired all executive managers, so they emptied the situation. After months of fight, we have said, stop, we have to stop this here, and we have stopped theater production, and we focused on awareness raising to change the situation and to be able to stop this trend. And it seems that we are being able. Now we have a new executive manager with the same budget, but again, it's the same, but at least we have a budget. And the budgets are limited. And I think there's a lack of will, not only a lack of budget, because they have expenses for traveling, for parliament members, etc. So that's what I wanted to say. I don't know if I explained myself. I love you.
He said it all. Well, in Portugal, we have some issues when it comes to cultural activities and support for cultural activities. And our main struggle as of now is that the government needs to start spending at least a percentage of taxes and put it into culture. Up to now, it has not been the case, and that's why cultural activities is not as good as it should, because money into cultural activities is little. And this has an impact on our companies and people working in this industry. We do get support, from the government, whether local or central, but there are two other issues we have in Portugal, and that is that whenever there is a change in government, the rules are changed as well. All kinds of supports are changed, and so long-term planning, that's what we want for culture. And I think this is the main problem that Portugal is facing. Probably it could also be said of other countries. There are some supports, it is true, and now I just explained that relationship with schools and children and how they were part of our activities. And there is an ongoing program in Portugal now that is called, or is focused on schools that try to organize, what was the name of it? What was it? Yes, I think it's the National Arts Plan. And so schools decide what they want for their children, and then afterwards the government gives the support to schools so those activities are performed. And this is one of the mechanisms that make it possible for schools to come and work with us. They come to us and say, that's what we need, this, that. And there are teachers who are familiar with us, who know about us, and make their requests. Or maybe it's us putting forward ideas to them. For example, every year there is an exhibit at our festival that is the plastic arts. It's all child-made, and that is all the teachers collect the works of the children in school. And it's interesting to see what children do. And that's good, but if it's even better, if you can submit the works to an exhibit so that professional people can see it as well. And they're always so scared and shocked and when there is the opening ceremony and they're so excited, all those children. And there's an idea, there's an option, we're just starting. Problem, the little money that goes into cultural activities and the constant changes whenever politicians change as well, when they leave. That's it. I will now take the floor myself right after what you said, because in Scotland we also get under 1% of taxes going into cultural activities. And even last year, they've announced that the budget would be even lower. So some cutbacks were announced, and there were rallies and protests in the street. So within a week, they said, that's fine. We will keep it as it was. There will be no cutbacks. So it was a bit of a chaos. It was a bit weird, but we managed. Money is the same, but our expenses are up. So very much as a result of the crisis. So, to be honest, I would say that the budget has been reduced in a way, even if it's just because of our increased expenses. And this will have an impact, of course. But I guess this is an opportunity, not just for professionals, creative professionals, but also for the citizens in the country. This is a good opportunity for them to claim the right to access to culture. as a human right. And this is a discussion that goes beyond the FETEN or other meetings or venues. It is a fundamental right we have, and we need to fight for it. We need to advocate it. It will not just happen overnight. And politicians are very good when it comes to large visions and hopes, and they say they're going to do so many things, and that artists need to get a fair pay, and you need to be sustainable and innovative, and you need to be working with international collaborations. But it just doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen when you've got so little money. So it is up to us, and not just us as creative people, but us as residents or people living in those countries need to fight for fair conditions.
So I'm kind of like, wow, every country has turned into Thailand. Like, all the government has become like Thai government. Because the budget was never there really especially for the theater. And every year we have to apply. So we still kind of like, very independent. Or we apply for grants like the artists would apply for grants. And and it's not improving. Even though the government, the new prime minister or the new government has kind of like launched this soft power policy. But theater, performing arts was not one kind of like section that they divide. We're kind of part of like the whole visual arts as a whole. So it says a lot about how the performing arts is perceived in Thailand. And also, we receive some funding, but it's a very, very small amount or like percentage from the Ministry of Culture. We cannot ask for grants from the Ministry of Education because theater is not, in Thailand, is not considered something that could provide educational development for children yet. So it's kind of like one of those things where, so we can only, our work will only be responded by the Ministry of Culture. And what was I going to say? But then we also have one organization that is a state agent, which is the Thailand Convention and Exhibition Bureau, who received the money from the Ministry of Tourism and Sports. And their work is to cultivate festivals, international events. And these are the people who kind of receive the governmental money to give us the money to work. But their own grant is shrinking as the new government, every government is different, and it will affect how they receive the grant from the central government as well. So this is sort of the situation in Thailand. Yeah.
Well, it seems that the global situation is similar. It's not just the money, but actually the development perspective. But I have another question, and I know that it's a wide question, and it's quite a challenge when it comes to the right to access to the arts for children and young adults. And I'm talking about accessibility and inclusion. So with your festivals, how are you working on that line, which we understand is quite a challenge, so that all children, all young people, whether they have disabilities or not, can have access to the performing arts? How are you working on it? Well, I could say a few words. We were now working on it a bit more consciously, just recently. And I'm talking here about Teatro Extremo, we don't do much, but at least we're aware, we're now sensitized that things need to be changed. of course, in Portugal, we try to make sure that for every show there are some performances that has, for example, a sign language interpreter, so that people can follow, deaf people can follow. Also, some other sessions where blind people are told what's going on stage. But this, of course, has to be paid. And it's a cost for companies. But of course it has to be done. Sure, it has to be done. And that's what we're trying to do, to be conscious and sensitized to make it happen. We try to include all children, boys and girls, but we were clear that people with disabilities had lower access or less access, and so we are trying to work on it more and improve it. We also want to do more. But let me explain. For example, during the festival, we always have this special offer for schools with children with disabilities. Last year, we had Catalunya Genial, Animal Religion, that's the name of the Catalonian company that came last year. And they had this show, Ideas Fly, that is the translation. And the audience, the target audience, was children with autism. And so this is how it works in relationship with schools. And throughout the year, we also have many other activities, since we invite, and we have, artists who want to develop their own kind of art with children with disabilities. They want to explore it because artistically they're interested. Artistically, they are interested in this kind of an audience and interacting with them. And there are many artists that show that such interest. There is this one, Hayley Arland. We're working with her now, and she works together with Scottish Dance Theatre, which is a national dance company in Scotland, and they have a residency up north in Scotland and with a school there with children with severe autism, and it'll be a week, and they will have an installation afterwards with music and projections as well and performances. And the hope, the ambition of the project is to produce a show that can then be taken on tour for other schools with children, theatre with the schools Scotland, those theatre performances. So throughout the year we try to link projects together so artists can see how their work is progressing, done together with children and their perspectives, points of view, and participation as well, and it then can be taken to other parts of the country.
In terms of inclusion, so for us, we're trying to present at least a work that represent the people from peripheral of the society, whether it's people like stateless children, people living with disability, and every year, so we have a work that kind of like present those ideas. Like the first year, we have a Thai company that produced work that was generated through that process with hard of hearing children. The second festival we invited independence from Scotland with artists with Down syndrome performing, and it was very, very well received. We also, next year we'll be working with our colleagues in Cambodia, Epic Arts, which is a really fantastic organization that kind of like cultivating children living with disability to become professional artists. They're doing so well that they even now have one artist working, a Cambodian artist on a wheelchair working for Stopgap dance company in the UK. So yeah, we're kind of like trying in a small way to include this kind of work into the program and also in the conversation during the seminars as well. Yeah.
What we do with the St. Louis University, for example, there's this workshop with children. And I know that there are different names depending on the country, but we say people with disability, children with disabilities. And they come to watch the performances. But we also have some other shows that we take straight to those schools. Special schools, APADIS as the name we give it, but it's schools for children with disabilities. There are some words that I'm trying not to say because it might be offensive depending on the country. But it's people with disabilities and we offer shows. We have the lamp. I don't know if you're familiar with this technique, but it is a technique that we find is exciting. It's exciting to see those children, boys and girls, that sit down and stay on their seat as they watch the play. And teachers say, don't you worry, they won't follow, but they stay there for all 5 minutes. They come and hug you and enjoy every minute of it. They're excited, they're moved at the beginning, at the end. And what to say about ourselves? We're touched by it. We find it's an important part of our work in Patagonia, in central country, and we tour it through different schools and educational centers, and to see how important it is to have all of them and invite them to come to theatre. Well, together with what Diana said, it would be wonderful, because she mentioned there are 2 different types of shows, but we've done so with children with different abilities, not disabilities, but different abilities, that's what we say. And we didn't even think they would have ever enjoyed it so much. And we started some 6 years ago. That's when we decided to include different spaces, as we call it. And we also included their proposals. I don't know about Spain or Portugal or Scotland or Thailand, but in Argentina, we have specific schools for children with Down syndrome. There's 2 in Patagonia, 2 of those schools, and we make quite an effort because it's kind of a vocational school, vocational training school. And so we bring them shows and also arts workshops. It's always seminars. It's not lectures per se throughout the year. It's not like that. These are workshops, these are seminars that can last for 3 days, 7 days, 10 days. But yes, I think we still need to have a very long way ahead of us. In Argentina, we have Teatro Perseus. And they have a wonderful proposal. And they tour around the country. It is difficult. There's, as I said, a long way ahead of us before there is proper inclusion. And we care for the majority. It might be egotistical. We cannot care for every specific need, but at least we're aware that is a reality. And they are part of the spaces we create. They are part of it. In every level, workshops to performances, of course, always understanding the different abilities those children have. Children and adults as well, by the way. We also work with elderly people for homes for the elderly people. And, well, yes, we've done something, but we have a long way ahead of us, all of us, I guess, all of us in this room. I would ask you questions all day and all night, but it is time for the audience to ask the questions they have. It is so lovely that we get to meet each other, that we learn to learn from each other's festival, and see how different festivals can strengthen international cooperation works. But if it's okay with you, we'll open the floor for the audience. So if you have a question, raise your hand and you will get the microphone. Hello, I'm Omar Mesa. I am with Avanzasitec. So enlightening what I've learned here, because it's not just the arts, but politics. And I'd like to thank you for your inclusive language. I think it was about time that we change the way we speak, because we have to say he, she, and they. It is time to give them visibility. And it is important that with the performing arts, we also have inclusive language. So my gratitude goes out to you. But it's also surprising to learn about the political process. And I've been thinking about it for years now. So there are different countries. We have Acitec Internacional, and even our own countries, Spain. How can we link a political thought where we can have powerful networks that might lead to a political discourse, but not about defending an economy or a party, but defending the arts as a social transformation tool? Because we see it with all the projects you've shared, and we do. The arts has an impact on the schools, on the streets, so the arts is transformative. And one of the realities we see is that governments change. And in this case, we see how the arts and the cultures come apart, are destroyed. We cannot stand for that. We cannot. And if we do have a political thought that is well construed, that has international support, I don't know, maybe years ago, international support where we, all of us, could be ambassadors, true ambassadors of politics. That would be wonderful, right? It's just a thought that I wanted to share with you.
Pues no tengo una.
I'm afraid I have no solution for you, sorry. But I agree. I fully agree with what you've said. And I think it is important that we think of culture not as a luxury, but as a right. And that's what it is, a right. It is a right, same as right to education, right to health, and we need right to culture. And I'm talking about my home country, but internationally, as I see it, well, I think now of the last few years and the wars that broke out around the world, it's also the result of a lack of diplomacy, cultural diplomacy as well. I think it is time that we have a dialogue with other countries, other cultures. That's a good way to learn to be empathetic, to have that link as human beings, to talk not just about economy or strategy or how I can steal you out of your resources. It is so very important, I think. And we need to fight for it. Because if we don't, future will be even bleaker than it is now. So what I think it'll be difficult years in the future because of climate change. I don't know about other countries. I just talk a bit with you about climate change right before we started. But we in Edinburgh City, and the municipality rather, is the one funding us, saying you need to be net zero by 2030. What does it mean, net zero? Well, it means you need budget for carbon emissions, So it's not just I'm not flying because I don't have the money. I'm not flying because I don't have the carbon credits. It's not part of my budget. So it is important that we will get to think about all these things so we are more sustainable. It is actually fundamental for our future, but we need to see further, and we need to think of the consequences for the cultural sector and our capacity to have that international link. Because if we have a transition towards a more sustainable world, that transition needs to be fair. And there are many other complex elements in it. And I think the cultural industry is there. Without access to culture, the system will not change. But we need it to change. We need it all to change the system and become more sustainable. I think it is very difficult to talk about something that you cannot eat, you cannot actually count in numbers, but we need to do it. So interesting, the question and the answer, same as you. I don't have the solution, I'm afraid. But I think we need to permanently keep constructing it. We need to permanently keep working on it. And this type of events, this one here, this festival, event, fairs, help sensitize and raise awareness for many people. And it's also highly motivational. And through hard work that is shared, so we all share it. That's the only way to reach sustainability. We need to make it sustainable. It has to be authentic and has to be as honest as possible and generous as well. From words to actions. And show solidarity. We need to show solidarity by opening up our spaces. I'm aware of many people that have beautiful productions and yet they have no venues to show them. And that's mad. It's a madness. I've been through too many countries and it happens. And I guess there are venues everywhere, right? They have to be shared. It is a network we have to build. And these should be the values that will strengthen the networks and will help us get to know each other, continue to know each other. I know you've met before, and it's so beautiful to see the room with the sorority and fraternity feelings in it. I love it. I love the warmth and the fact that artists from different regions know each other. It's so lovely. And it also the support, as we take support right now, is beautiful. It is a gigantic effort. But we need to keep those supports going. Spain gets different types of support compared to other countries. Beautiful. It is beautiful. And let's hope that they are strengthened and widened and sustained. And that political changes do not mean that our strategy needs to be changed. It has to be sustained. We need to be able to sustain it ourselves. It is a difficult endeavor, but we need to have that international support network that demands and points out those governments that take possession of our rights, rob us of our rights. Spain now is going through a beautiful time, not Argentina, and Thailand can denounce it, Spain can denounce it, Portugal can denounce it. Because there are people out there, governments out there that want to get rid of us. And we get that call from our colleagues from abroad. Well, let's put it into socials. As Diana said, social media is powerful and we keep a close eye on them, not just as a tool to get new, wider audiences, but it's a good way to have artist communication. So there's not just one single solution, but it's a bold and construction activity where we get to know each other, love each other even more.
Anyone else? Any more questions? Pete.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ask the question in English because English people don't speak any other languages. So here we are, amazing panel, attendees of adults talking about a cohort that's not in the room, children. So I'd be very interested to hear from your festivals, how do you incorporate the children's voice in the planning? I'm not talking about feedback forms. Where is the children's voice in your 9 months before the festival and 2 days before the festival?
¿Y todos lo habéis entendido?
Well, this is a question about young and children audience, whether we have the voice of the children. How we get the voice of the children. It's good that Pete has asked this question. So Ondine has said that they have a very interesting project, but if you can tell us more what you're doing. Bueno, yo es lo que...
What we always have to be conscious about. I mean, for us at the moment, during the creation process of our production, children's voice will be the input into how a production is being created, at least. For the festival, yeah, I hope we will be kind of geared enough to be able to incorporate more of the children's voices. It's a work in progress, and I hope to be able to do more of that in the future. Yeah.
Well, as I have said in the presentation, we have a project which is called Creative Encounters since 2 years ago. This is a research project. We are working with a PhD program at the University of Edinburgh and with a great woman who's a facilitator and also an artist. She's Lou Browdy. She works at schools. She has academic training and she's also an artist. And with this project, we're trying to integrate the rights of children in a creative project to have an impact on our organization, to explore how we can use these voices to impact our decisions. Give you an example. For example, last year, children have chosen 2 shows, 2 Scottish shows that were part of the program that we have in the National Museum. When artists come to school, they deliver a speech, but this is not a speech for a professional audience, but for children. So it's very hard for them. They think I have to say something interesting, and there is no jargon or any technical jargon that I should use. I attended one of these speeches, and it's very interesting because when I, as an adult, and I cannot say anything, but I like the project, and I also like children. So sometimes we agree and sometimes we disagree, but this is all part of the process, and I think this is so also for children. We got 2 productions with extended teams. These are very significant projects that have been chosen by the children, but also the creative process is very funny. And we're trying to include them, for example, in the design of the program, how it could be more appealing. So
I remember one of the years, the children were the selector of the program. At Edinburgh.
Maybe that was, last year.
It was really
Yeah, good. ¿Y vosotros?
Well, also, of course, we have this adult-centric gaze when selecting the shows, how we can listen to the children. In our festival, it takes place in a very conservative region, Opus Dei run, a very male chauvinist area. And last year, we were a little bit daring and we wanted to learn. And we said, this is our 9th edition. The audience is used to seeing different aesthetics because we bring different stage formats. And last year we brought a show that was like a Passion of Cyrano, but told by two girls that fall in love with each other. And we said, okay, let's try. And this is going to be a spoiler, but towards the end, the last letter says it was never your cousin, it was always me, your friend. And the whole audience, all the children went like this, aha! And we started crying because we realized how the need that we have for this type of topics to be addressed. So we try to bring proposals that are interesting for them, but also that are contemporary topics. And also the teachers told us what went down in the classroom, what was the feedback, what they understood, how they saw this story. And I think it's very interesting, and I really like the idea, the question of how we can work based on the opinions of children. Well, I have an example from last year with one of our shows, where the creation of this show was done jointly with the children of a school. The text had been written by a person, and the actors and the screenwriter and the stage director went to the school, and they would work with children, and the question was, what is normal and what is not normal? And with all this, through several sessions, they created the story, creating the characters, and then it was written by the stage writer, by the playwright. And the children, when they go see the final result, they loved it. And they were happy to be able to tell their parents or their friends, I helped write this show. I helped write this play. Bueno, pues.
Hola, buenos días.
Hello, good morning. It also has to do with what we just heard, listening to children. And we're talking about teenagers here. That's what I mean. There are not many companies that have performances just for teenagers. But I wonder, are teenagers interested in our adult perspective theater? Because they go to school and in a way they are forced to watch it, right? That's what they can do, just be there. But then they don't go to the theater. Why is that? Because our topics are not appealing to them. There's nothing that could interest them because, well, they are fed up with life and they won't have that interest back until they grow into full adults. So, as with any other conversation with teenagers, so how do you approach it? Well, yes, thank you for your thought. I guess we would need to rethink it. Our production ideas when we're talking about teenagers. In a way, we can entice them. As I said, there are not many shows. And what I meant is there are not many shows that we create according to teenagers' interests in our territory. Doesn't mean that there are none, but generally, we have a beautiful adolescent audience, teenage audience. It is touching to see 400, 180 children, depending on the venue or the performance that you bring to them. But it is exciting, thrilling to see how they get hooked up in our proposals. But the curation process is even more difficult than we're talking about small children. But yes, it is true. We need to rethink it. We need to come up with, you mentioned that they come forcefully, that they're captive audience, but for us, at least they can choose whether they come or not. And yet we get many people, many young people. But I wonder, do we need to have shows for teenagers? Because there are some shows for adults or children that they can go to, but let's say this is just for you, teenager. Well, we last year we brought a company that went on tour here in Spain, and it's actually adult theater, and it's about fears and sensitivities. That was a topic, and we thought, well, the theater of absurdity, but we thought it was interesting the way they would approach those topics, especially after COVID, which I guess touched us all. And it was interesting the way they made it happen. And of course, they all understood what the show was about. They clearly enjoyed it. They gave their applause. But yes, what's the limit? What's the limit between shows for adults or shows for children? And they are somewhere in between. So we are very picky when we're choosing, when we are curating, and also taking into account territories, as you said. Well, yes. I'm not sure whether this is teenage theater for young audiences or teenage audiences, but there are some performances that you cannot play at an educational center. And let me explain. There are some languages, there are some jargons that we, in our perspective, don't think are suitable. And there's also the option that those schools will backfire, will react in a way where they do just the opposite of what we want. We want them to open the doors and not close them. And if the language in your play is, I don't know, I cannot give you an example because all our plays, all our shows, were for children. But there are many works and plays which we think that if you bring them to school, well, it's different. It's not the same as if that very same show, which is not for a school, for open performances for the general audience, we just say plus 12 years of age. That's the rating. That's different than does mum or dad or on their own. It's fine, but it's a different context. But when we're talking about a school, we need to be very careful, care for the child, care for the boy and the girl. And that's the way we understand it.
I don't know if we have any other questions, but we're about to call it a day. I'd like to thank you for your answer. I think you have very interesting projects. We'd love to stay here for a longer conversation. We have mentioned many issues where we could speak more about it, especially the participation of children and young people. You know, these questions, maybe we have to ask more children what they want, and I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank FETEN. I don't know if Idoia want to say something. Well, just to close, I'd like to thank you guys, and also you guys on this other side, for being here. I think it is good in these meetings. It is good that we leave with open questions. We are not trying to find solutions, but we are trying to open questions, because we have practiced something today, which is listening in different directions, listening to schools, to the community, to creators, and that this listening is dynamic and is mutual. Also for creators, I can perceive how we are listening what children experience to take to the stage, and we have to be humble and to understand that we are always trying to do something, and that's what's important. This is not about goals and achieving our goals. I think we have shared a lot, and I'd like to thank Natalia and Candela, who have already left, because they have made this meeting possible. This is the type of work that we usually don't see. Also Gabriela and Natalia Candela, I'd like to thank them, because there's lots of people doing very important details, and this is a very important part, and so that we can share this meeting in the future. So thanks a lot, everyone.